So, Max Verstappen has been in the news a lot since the Mexican Grand Prix, after picking up two 10-second penalties for both forcing a driver off the track and also gaining an advantage while off the circuit. He's very much been under fire from a lot of pundits and fans saying that his driving has again gone too far. But apparently in the upcoming Brazilian Grand Prix in Interlagos, he's going to tone down his racing aggression after the penalties in Mexico. I personally will believe it when I see it, or I suppose when I don't see it, when I don't see the same kind of aggression. But there's a full article here on the F1Chronicle.com, guys. Let's have a look at what's been said here. So, two prominent figures in F1 believe Max Verstappen will ease his controversial wheel-to-wheel style for the decisive last four Grand Prix of 2024. After the championship leader strategically beat title rival Lando Norris to the apex in their Austin stoush, running the overtaking McLaren off the track, it was Lando Norris that received a 5-second penalty for passing off of the circuit. But in Mexico, in what some regard as similar incidents, it was Red Bull's Verstappen who was punished, with not one but two 10-second time penalties and also 2 penalty points against his F1 super license. When Franco Colapinto was told on the radio about Verstappen's penalties, the Williams rookie repeated 20-second penalty. My God, what has he done? Just completely tried to take out Lando Norris twice. That's what he did, mate. Max Verstappen, well, allegedly, I should say that, but he was punished for it rightfully. Verstappen, 27 years of age, left Mexico insisting that he would not tweak his F1 driving style going forwards. And now, days ahead of the Brazilian Grand Prix, the Dutchman's father, Jos, told F1Insider.com Max should just carry on driving as he's been doing. Great fatherly advice, Jos. I reminded him that Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher were also often subjected to harsh criticism from England. Why is he making it about the UK? Why is he making it about the UK? And it's not just the UK criticising him, I can guarantee you that. I think aside from the Dutch media, there's no one really coming out in any kind of defence of Max Verstappen. It's the Dutch media and Red Bull, and that's it really. No one else is really on his side in this one. So Verstappen Senior added that he's in very good company there. There is so much to unpack with that, but I am not going to do so during this video. There's a lot. It's not quite as simple as what he's making out between the Schumacher and the Senna things. Very different situations. Former Haas team boss Gunther Steiner thinks the severity of the Mexican Grand Prix penalties will require Verstappen to tweak his style. We all know Max and the way he drives, he told Eurosport France. I have a lot of respect for the way he looks for the limits of what is acceptable. He went over them though, didn't he? In Austin, he said that there is no limits for me, I'll just keep attacking. That's a terrible philosophy. I don't blame Max for that. I would rather blame the lack of penalty in Austin. I mean, you could argue that, you know, the lack of a penalty encouraged Verstappen to go further in Mexico. But again, he has previous when it comes to this. Look at the 2021 season. It's far from the first time. Look at this season even. Look at the things he's done to Hamilton and Norris in Hungary and Austria respectively. If he had a 5-second penalty there, I'm sure he wouldn't have done what he did in Mexico. I agree with that actually. He probably would have tried something similar, but maybe not quite as far. If he gets an advantage, he always uses it. Max is that kind of driver. But now in Mexico, with a big penalty, it changes. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff agrees. I think it was a really good steward's decision in Mexico because it will now be clear in future that this kind of dirty driving is no longer allowed, he told Österreich newspaper. A horrendous penalty of 20 seconds is the right precedent to ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. And indeed, he did kind of ruin his race in a sense. I mean, he still got 6th place, but he was miles off of where he would have been had he not done what he did. Wolff is also quoted as saying to Kleine Zeitung newspaper, when you get away with something, that's the new limit. A driver will always push the limit. We won't see anything like what we saw in Mexico again, a Max Verstappen who pushes other drivers off the racetrack in the duel, the Austrian predicted. Wolff says the message from the FIA is clear. Brake late and drive the other car off track is no longer acceptable, no longer allowed, and that's good for the racing. I agree. It shouldn't have been allowed in the first place, but I agree. However, some experts and fans think that in a direct head-to-head for the championship, Norris is simply too nice to beat the driver of Verstappen's attitude. In general, we could say yes, he's too nice, Gunther Steiner. But I think Lando wants to race respectfully and fairly within the rules and nothing more. Yeah, I mean, he's made that pretty clear, to be fair. Norris could have crashed into Max once or twice, but it would have not helped him. But it also shows the kind of driver that he is. He wants to show that he can do it fairly, Steiner added. Oh, yeah, I mean, I've said it a few times in fairness when it comes to covering this kind of whole fracas, for lack of a better term, between Verstappen and Lando. I mean, for me, again, it all comes down to tactics. You know, Verstappen is in the advantageous position in the championship. He's got the high ground, to use a Star Wars reference there. And if both of them don't finish, it suits Max Verstappen. So Lando Norris is rightfully going to, and smartly in my opinion, trying to avoid any kind of contact by all means necessary. He will take any kind of avoiding action, even if Verstappen is in the wrong. Because again, you can punish Verstappen as much as you want, unless you give him like a points penalty or something in the championship, which that ain't gonna happen. Well, unless he does something really bad, but I don't see that happening. Then it's never going to be a punishment for Max Verstappen to retire both his and Lando Norris's car. Now, whether we'll see Mad Max again in Brazil is another theory. I'm really on the fence about it. Maybe not quite as elbows out. It's going to be an absolute minimum. It's going to be on the absolute limit. Let's get that straight. You know, Verstappen is not going to give Lando an easy time at all if he is trying to overtake, or vice versa. If Verstappen gets a chance to pass Lando Norris, he is going to send it down the inside without any regard for either of their safety. That's just what he does. Whether it's right or wrong, and in my opinion it's wrong, in the steward's opinion as well, it is also wrong. That's what he's going to do. He's hardwired to do it. I mean, you heard what his dad said. You heard what Jos said there. Just keep doing it, son. Senna did it. Schumacher did it. You're as good as them. You keep doing that. But you also have to look at what happened to those drivers. I mean, not in Senna's case, really, because, you know, Senna did have some big penalties in Formula 1 over the years, if you want to look through the history of it. But look at what happened to Schumacher, which is more recent, obviously. The guy got thrown out of the 1997 World Championship for manoeuvres that I would wager, the one that he pulled on Villeneuve anyway, that I'd personally say was probably not as dangerous as what Verstappen tried doing to Lando. Now, I'm not saying that Verstappen should get thrown out of the championship for that. I'm not saying that at all. But if he's not careful, if he keeps doing this and doing it so blatantly, he's really going to have to be careful, because the FIA have done this before. I don't think they have the minerals to do it again, to be honest. I don't think they'd be able to do that, to do something as severe as that. It would take something horrendously dangerous to even consider that, I think. But honestly, I think Max Verstappen is just going to keep driving how he's been driving. Maybe not quite as aggressive, but when the red mist descends, we have seen what Mad Max does. And it's as simple as that. And I've gone into my theories about that a while ago when we had the Hungary incident with Verstappen and Hamilton and all these radio outbursts. You know, I've got some theories about that. Check out our video if you've not seen it before. But yeah, those are my kind of thoughts on it, guys. What do you think? Is Verstappen going to pull the same moves that he tried in Mexico and in Austin for that matter, but particularly Mexico in Brazil? Does he need to do it? In my opinion, he doesn't need to do it. But that's my opinion. I don't think Max Verstappen shares my opinion. But yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. And for much more F1 news, analysis and reaction, keep it tuned here to the F1Chronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell as well. And we'll see you very soon, guys. Have a good one.